Hi, in this demo, I'll cover FortiEDR Security Fabric integrations with FortiGate and FortiSandbox. For this, I will navigate to Administration tab and select Integrations. On this page, we get the option to configure firewall and sandbox connectors. Let's take a look at connector configuration. These integrations require on-premise core, which can talk to FortiGate on port 443. Here we also provide dynamic address group name to which FortiEDR will push the malicious IPs along with API key for authentication to FortiGate. Similarly, for sandbox connector, again we'll provide same on-premise core, sandbox IP port number along with credentials for authentication to sandbox. Once connectors are configured, we will go to Security Settings tab to enable these connectors. For the sandbox connector, we will select Execution Prevention Policy and enable the Sandbox Analysis rule. Similarly, for FortiGate connector, we will go to Playbook Policies and under Remediation section, we will enable Block Address on Firewall rule. Moving forward, let's take a look at FortiGate configuration. Here, I have configured an address group with the same name as being used on FortiEDR. And as we can see, it doesn't have any member. This address group will be used as destination in the very first security policy on the FortiGate with action set to deny for all the traffic destined to the malicious IPs. Moving on to FortiSandbox, all the files and URLs submitted by FortiEDR will show up under Scan Input tab on URL on demand and File on demand options. Now let's cover the use cases by moving on to a desktop where FortiEDR collector service is already running, and I have already downloaded few malware samples which will be used in the demo. For the FortiSandbox integration, I will go ahead and download a test malware file which will trigger sandbox analysis on FortiEDR. Once the download completes, we will save the file and run the application. Here we can notice FortiEDR blocked the malicious process. Going back to FortiEDR console, we can see multiple events are triggered. Taking a look at the event details, we can see that sandbox analysis rule is triggered under execution prevention policy. Now let's navigate to FortiSandbox to verify the file submission by FortiEDR. In the Scan Input tab, we can select File on Demand option, and here we can see FSA downloader file do show up. Now let's move on to our second use case covering FortiGate connector. For this, we will go back to desktop and execute a malware which triggers connection attempt to an external malicious IP. Again, we can notice FortiEDR blocked the malicious process. Going back to console, we can see connection attempt from a suspicious application. Looking at the event details, we can see Fortinet Cloud Services pushed 67.199.248.10 IP address to the FortiGate. We can go back to FortiGate and verify that the malicious IP address is populated in the dynamic address group. Since this address group is configured as destination in the very first security policy on the FortiGate, all traffic destined to this IP will be blocked, highlighting the extended response capabilities of FortiEDR. This concludes the demo. Thank you for watching.